Rand, I need another episode of Fully Cinematic.
Though we still haven't gotten the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, Warner Brothers Discovery have seen fit to grace us with an animated movie about Batman and Superman's kids teaming up. I've seen it and I'm going to run it down for you right now. And oh yeah, there will be spoilers. The movie begins on a dying Krypton as Jor-El and his wife Lara launch their infant son off-world in a small spacecraft. Superman's origin story then speeds up through a montage of comic panels. We also see the hero fight alongside the Batman and marry Lois Lane, with whom he has a son. When the animation commences, we catch up to Lois and said son discussing his parents' relationship. On the eve of Jonathan's birthday, he ignores his mom's instructions to not look for presents hidden around the house. Later, as he and Dad Clark work around the farm, it becomes clear that Junior has no clue about his pop's alter ego. He assumes that Dad is into cosplay when he finds his battle garb. The Superman cuts their quality time short in order to redirect a meteor, and as Kal-El heads off to help with the tsunami approaching Japan, Green Arrow aboard the Watchtower is attacked by some unseen creature. On the big day, Clark fails to show for Jonathan's big baseball game, during which he strikes out. Afterwards, Junior bolts during his dad's apology and discovers that he has superhuman abilities the hard way when his heat vision sets a grain silo on fire. Of course, Soups then lets him in on the family secret and treats him to a flight around the globe. The trip leads them to Gotham City, which Little Kent smells from a distance, and where Batman is beating a slob out of the Penguin and a couple of his goons. After handing them off to 12, the Bat takes the Kents to the Batcave, where he examines Jonathan for any further abilities and introduces him to his son Damian. Batch reveals that he hasn't heard from Oliver, Green Arrow, Queen, or the Watchtower all day. Meanwhile, Damian learns that the Teen Titans don't want him as a member on account of him being a jerk. After attempting contact again, the adults get a suspicious video message from Arrow. When the Kents return to Smallville, Lois informs the Man of Steel that crime has dropped to zero in Central and South America. Later, when Kal and Bruce do a sweep of the tower, they're attacked by Starro, who escaped Krypton shortly after Omni-Man's ship did. The following day, Jonathan realizes that he has super strength when a bully confronts him at school. He learns the hard way that he's not invulnerable during this same altercation. Meanwhile, a starfish-controlled Batman attacks his son back at the cave, and the younger Wayne barely survives, with Starro believing that his fall down a chasm was fatal. After searching metahuman files, Damian learns that Jonathan is the only one not infected. To Jonathan's dismay, he discovers that Lois has fallen victim to the creature as well, forcing the teens to flee in the Batwing. Once they make their way inside the Fortress of Solitude, they're immediately attacked by Crypto. But evading the flying canine leads them to a chamber where Jonathan is recognized by Jor-El's consciousness. He then gives them the rundown on Starro, and his descendant figures out how to neutralize the threat it poses to the planet. He and Robin then head to the Watchtower and Kal-El's baby rocket, where they're immediately apprehended by infected Justice Leaguers and told Starro's entire plan. Alright. Back at the Daily Planet, Lois, who had her Starro drone burned off by her son's heat vision, decides to use Jimmy Olsen's idea and asks for President Luthor's assistance, which he only gives after gloating about being right regarding hostile aliens and with the condition that Mrs. Kent endorse him in the next election. Unfortunately, it turns out that Lex has been infected as well when he orders the viewers to initiate a takeover during his emergency address to the nation. Lois, however, determines that the starfish are vulnerable to extreme heat and tells Jonathan as much during the broadcast. His heat vision makes quick work of both the J-League and the Teen Titans, but the world's finest prove to be more than they can handle, until Damian swipes Bruce's kryptonite ring from his belt and Jonathan uppercuts it out of the Cape Crusader. The duo then launches all of the infected heroes to Earth prior to flying the tower out of orbit in the hopes that it'll burn up, with Starro aboard upon re-entry. Meanwhile, both Jimmy and Lois fight off their attackers single-handedly in separate incidents. The Super Sons bond as they await their impending deaths, until the Man of Tomorrow flies them safely back to the surface. Each teen gets a hug from his respective father before Starro, who survived, attacks again, only to be thrown into space by Krypton's last son, as his son blasts him with the fire eyes. Subsequently, the Titan Teeny Boppers extend a membership invitation to Damian, which he declines, and Invincible hits a super home run during his next game, which Clark, Bruce, Damian, and Lois all attend. Battle of the Super Sons is 100 times better than DC League of Super Pets. How can it not be? But it's miles away from Green Lantern's recently released animated origin story, Beware My Power. The title lets you know right away that this thing's going to be cheesy. Batcow and the Superdog are in this thing for sakes. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Krypton, Starro, Lex, Jimmy, and Lois were good, but pretty much everything else was trash.
Why did you let yourself do this?
If you want to see a Justice League animated movie, skip this BS and watch Throne of Atlantis or Beware My Power instead. In other news, it's time to check out a comment from a previous show. Responding to the Nope show, Fresh Out the Shower said, I like Nope too and agree that it would have been IMAX worthy. It's a lot of layers and hidden stuff, of course. Slight spoiler, the horses weren't an appetizer and would have been the only things they ate. But just like the chimp that went crazy, they pushed the alien too far. It did get artsy in the second half, but it tied into the theme of the movie and the main character's background. Agreed, Fresh, but if you think about it, we still don't know that the creature was necessarily an alien. After watching the Lady Makers interview with Eric Davis and Jasmine Guy, Maverick Barbecue said, "Aw, snap. Damn right, Maverick." In response to my Thor the Dark World review, Danielle M. commented, I definitely agree with your thoughts about the last Thor movie. Don't even get me started on that trash, Danielle. Brian White also left a comment on the Power of the Dog show, but YouTube deleted it for some reason. Shout out to him, Maverick Barbecue, Fresh Out the Shower, and Danielle M. for dropping comments. And shout out to everybody who hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Anyway, I've had enough of this conversation, so I'm logging off.
Fully cinematic.